Hello, Steve Arts 89 here. Well, Jason Isaacs is at it again. I don't totally disagree with him. He's kind of right and kind of wrong in a way. Um, Back in the day when Star Trek first came out, there were a few racist people who just didn't like the idea of Star Trek and were just focusing on Discovery to attack it, and they were shot down pretty quickly. Now, unfortunately, after that, when the show came out and there were serious problems with it, which a lot of fans pointed out and went on about, like I did, and a lot of people have and still do because the problems are still there and they've just doubled down on them instead of actually, they've amended a few things, but other things they've just doubled down on. Um, Basically, they started to then put that slight of being racist or an ist of some sort, racist, sexist, whatever, onto any fan that criticised the show. You don't like the show. Oh, you must be racist. Oh, you must hate black people, so you don't like our show because it's got a black character. Oh, you must hate women. You must hate our show because it's got a female lead. No, people don't. Okay, some people did. Those people are not Star Trek fans. Like he says in the article, if you don't like black people, you're not a Star Trek fan. If you don't like women, you're not a Star Trek fan. Because Star Trek fans have grown up with black people and women and to a very small, tiny extent, gay people, and lots of different nationalities and minorities and things. That's because that's part of Star Trek. Star Trek was about diversity. Star Trek was about a utopian future where we had everyone mixed. We had, they had a. Everyone loves to point this out. They had a Russian on the show in the 60s, in the middle of the Cold War. They had a black woman in the middle of the Civil Rights Movement. They unknowingly had a gay man in there, for all that period. So we're not racist, we're not sexist, just by definition. Now there's a very small element of Star Trek fans who somehow look past the diversity and look past the progressiveness of the show and just look at the basic science fiction elements, phases and starships and the military aspect of the command structure of Starfleet and all that, and they focus on that and manage to look past all the progressive stuff and still manage to be racist and homophobic. But yet, like Star Trek, there is a very small amount of people that are like that. I've met them. I've been very disturbed by them because they're kind of an oxymoron, like in motion. And I just am sick of the general Star Trek fans who really have legitimate problems with this show because of how it's written, because of how it's directed, because of how it ignores canon, how it ignores logic, how it ignores science in favor of Star Wars style fantasy and action. These are real criticisms, and I'm not going to go into the criticisms because I don't have like a whole list, and I want to do it intelligently and articulately rather than generally, but which I kind of am now, just generally. Um, these are real complaints. People who love Star Trek who aren't racist have these complaints, and whenever they say anything, people jump on them and say, "Oh, you're one of those racist, homophobic people who hate the show because we've got a black lead and we've got an Asian second." I don't know. What is Michelle? Is she a guest star or is she a cast member? I don't remember. Maybe it's changed season to season, but yes. Basically, I'm sick of that. I'm really sick of that because there's so many Star Trek fans who are not racist, sexist, homophobic, who have problems with Discovery and the J.J. Abrams films, and some people have problems with, like I do, with Deep Space Nine, and it's nothing to do with the fact it's got a black actor as the lead and the main character, the captain, commander and then captain, is a black man. I don't have any problem with that. I have a problem with things he did in war. That's my problem. But you will call me a racist and say, oh, it's because he's black. No, I love Nichelle Nichols. I met her 3 times. What the hell? It's just so annoying. And I'm half with Jason on this article because he is acknowledging there were racist people pretending to be Star Trek fans, and they originally were the problem. But he's still sliding any fan that doesn't like the show into that category instead of acknowledging there are some problems and people have legitimate complaints, and some people just have their own taste, and they're allowed to not like the show. That doesn't mean they're homophobic or racist because there's gay people or black people in the show. I can't say it enough. So I just want to say that again. So I saw his article. I saw everyone saying, "Oh, he's saying all Star Trek fans are racist, and Star Trek fans who don't like the show are just racist, pretending to be Star Trek fans." And he's not totally saying that. He's saying there were a bunch of racists who were pretending to be Star Trek fans in the beginning, and there are still a very small faction of Star Trek fans who somehow see past the progressive nature of Star Trek and remain racist and still claim to be Star Trek fans and are in there making stupid, mostly homophobic. There's very few racists in Star Trek because it's so hard to ignore race and still watch the show. You can't be racist and watch Star Trek because there's race everywhere and it's respected. Whereas homosexuality is something that wasn't as obvious, didn't get as much attention in Star Trek, so it was easy for homophobes to slip in and be in the fan base, and I've dealt with a lot of them. And when George Takei came out, there were a lot of them exposed, and when they made Sulu gay in Beyond, a lot of those were exposed as well. So there are some problematic fans, but they're not automatically the ones that have problems with Discovery, and the people who have legitimate problems with Discovery deserve to be heard and not just painted with this whole racist brush to try and dismiss them so you don't have to acknowledge any faults with your show. It's just cheap and nasty and tacky, and I hate it. And I just want Jason Isaacs and the others to stop. He does seem to be halfway acknowledging that it's not as black and white as they seem to make it sometimes. But yeah, I think I've made my point. I'm just sick of people with real complaints being dismissed as racist, homophobic, sexist, whatever is you want to put on them. Yeah, so I thought this was going to be a big video bashing Jason Isaacs, but I'm kind of half agreeing with him. But he is a dick the rest of the time. I hate half the stuff he said, and he did lie about throwing the producers under the bus in a convention. I heard the recording. He did say it, and then he tried to pull back and say, no, I didn't say that. That was just made up when there were recordings of it. So if you don't want people to repeat it, don't say it in public, Jason. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for listening. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, comment. Comments are fun. Thanks. Bye.